Hi guys, this little olive oil lamp project I've been working on for a while now, and I think I finally got it to where it's a pretty good little project if somebody wants to try it. Have a look, tell us what you think down in the comments. Starting out with some hand-dug clay from Clay County, Indiana. I'm using the wooden bowls as forms. These are wooden bowls I found at a flea market and sanded all the finish off of. They just happen to be a perfect size for this little project here. Work the clay in really tight into the bowl, work it several times around, and then start trying to work it smooth in the center. Once I have the first bowl done, I just do the same thing with the second wooden bowl form. I did 4 just to be sure I get one to turn out. Now I'm starting to cut the top hole where the wick assembly will drop down into the lamp. This is done the next day after the clay is turned to a leather hard. Now I'm re-wetting the edges of the leather hard clay and applying a little bit of extra thin down clay so I can join the 2 sections of bowls together. Now I'm just working the seam together as tightly as I can, as clean as I can, filling any tiny cracks and just neatening up the bowl in general. Once it's all wetted down a little again, I'm also going to wet down the bowls. And then I'm going to set the piece between the 2 bowls to allow the clay to even out to an even moisture level and dry again. After 2 weeks of drying time, it's time to set up the brick kiln and charcoal fire the piece. I make the kiln as small as I can for what I'm firing to save on charcoal and put a little sand in the bottom to protect the concrete. Now I'm lighting a thin layer of charcoal in the bottom to build a bed of coals underneath the piece. I'm setting the piece on to heat up and preheat before it goes on the bed of coals. You want it to heat up slowly and evenly. Now I'm getting ready to load the piece onto the brick I set in the middle of the kiln in the nice bed of coals. And then I'll stack charcoal around the bucket, relighting the charcoal occasionally to make sure I get the charcoal lit throughout. Remember, I'm using a new galvanized bucket here. Once it's burnt off, it's fine, but you need to stay upwind of the smoke when you're using a new galvanized bucket because it will put off toxic fumes. It took about 4 hours for the coals to burn down, and here I'm pulling it out and checking it out. Hey, it turned out good. It's still really warm, so I'm going to wrap it in a towel and allow it to cool really slowly. Once it's down to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to milk treat it. We're pouring milk on and in this one. And then once the milk has soaked in for about an hour, we empty the milk, pat it dry, and then we're going to slowly bring it up in the oven to dry the milk and then bring it up to about 500 degrees slowly. This will polymerize the milk and seal up the vessel so that it doesn't weep the olive oil we're going to use. I tried a few different things to seal these, and this seems to work the best, and it's a really pretty finish on the outside. Now I'm going to make the lid and wick. I'm using copper because it's very easy to work with, and I get a lot of scrap copper. I'm cutting a piece of copper here, larger copper, and then slitting it down the side, and I'm going to roll it out flat. Once I've hammered it flat, I'm going to take the drill and drill a hole in the center of the piece of copper, large enough to accept the smaller piece of copper. And then I'm going to braze that piece of copper in. But first I need to cut the top plate into a circle. I think that would look a lot neater. Now I'm fitting the smaller copper tube through the larger copper circle plate. You could just crimp the smaller copper tube just a little bit to hold it in place, but I have the gear, so I decided to braze it in there. So there's the finished piece. Now all I need to do is pull the wick through it. I made a piece of wire that would fit through and hook the wick, because I want to double this wick up to get the approximate size I want. Just drag it through and then clip the hoop off of the top of the wick, and it's ready to prime the wick and be ready to go. Because I made these lamps so large and olive oil will only wick up for about an inch, I decided to fill the bottoms with gravel up about a little over halfway. That way it doesn't take so much olive oil to fill them to the point where they're functional. The one in my hand that I'm filling now is the first one I made. It didn't turn out as good. I had some blowouts in the clay during firing. I soaked this one in animal fat for quite a long time and then baked it at 500 degrees to try to seal it up. I have read since that this doesn't work very well and will start to weep again after some time. So I tried filling it with milk and milk treating it too from the inside. We're just going to see how it lasts. So here's our favorite one, sitting with a couple of our woven wood wick, hand-dipped beeswax candles we did in another video, with some clay bowls we made, and we really like that milk finish even on the clay bowls. If you guys like this, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.